So rather unexpectedly this morning, the new Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, released a statement revealing that the vast majority of his predecessor's budget, quasi-Kwarteng, that mini budget we had just a few weeks ago, is going to be scrapped. All those things we went through, we talked about, all those things that caused such turmoil in the markets, most of them are going to go. Some of them are staying. Some of them are staying just for a little while. And that one is particularly around energy, so I'll come back to that in a minute. So I want to give you a quick rundown on what some of those changes are right now. I'm sure we will see they're still going to make another fiscal statement, as they call it, on the 31st of October. That's still scheduled to happen. Again, that could well change. And there will be a full budget at some point, whenever that may be, wherever that is in this autumn or next spring. And I wouldn't be surprised the way things are going, stuff's going to continue to be announced. Obviously, I'll keep you updated. But this is fundamentally what's going and what's staying from that mini budget. We already knew actually before all the change in people, before Jeremy Hunt was put in place, that the government had done a U-turn on a couple of policies. One of those was that abolition of that 45% rate, the additional tax rate for people who earn over £150,000. We already knew that the scrapping of that had been scrapped. So that will stay in place. We will keep those different tax brackets as they currently are. And in fact, the cut of income tax for basic rate taxpayers, so people that earn over £12,571 a year, but less than 50,270 quid in a year, that one was due to be cut in the mini budget from 20% to 19%. That's not going to happen. It is not going to drop down next April. And in fact, it's not going to drop down the year after that as well, which has been announced by Rishi Sunak earlier this year. That is staying there. So there will be no change to that tax bracket there. So that's a new U-turn. Tax change on the 45%. We knew about that one. The fact that this one won't be cut, that's going to stay as it is. So no change there. When we're talking about taxes, let's talk about national insurance. That scrap, has already kind of come into play. That one will stay as it is. So that one is not being reversed. It's one of the few things that isn't being reversed. So in terms of what you'll be getting, your take-home pay for the rest of this year, that change will stay. The what we talked about last time. When it comes around to April, again, there could be changes announced later on, but at the moment, they will then stay as they are right now, going through and onwards, whatever your tax bracket might be. Similar to this, the change in corporation tax, and we knew this one already. This one had this U-turn and had already gone through. That increase was going to be scrapped. That's now going to be back on. So corporation tax will gradually increase over the coming years, depending on the size of the business. Not going to affect you particularly unless you are a business owner. If you do take dividends in any way, whether as a company, as a business owner, or from shares or whatever it might be, then the previously planned increase in dividend tax of 1.25 percentage points, so go from 7.5% to 8.75%, that will carry on. So that is going to happen. And that's a bit of an interesting one there, because this was kind of on par with the national insurance tax increase that happened last year. Well, that national insurance increase is gone, but the dividend tax will happen from April next year. And the final tax to talk about is one which isn't changing at all. This is stamp duty. And I went into detail about how this works in my previous mini budget video, so do check that one out. But that kind of changing of the rate of stamp duty, which already came into force, it was almost immediate, that one, in terms of you were buying a home. Those new levels will stay in place. That is not being reversed. That is not being scrapped. That is stay as it was. There are a couple of smaller things to kind of talk about as well, but we'll come on to energy in a second. But I'll tell you about those ones. A planned scrapping we'll plan to freeze alcohol duty, tax on alcohol. That has been scrapped, so that will increase based on whatever kind of levels have been put in place. And likewise, a plan to get rid of VAT for non-UK shoppers, for tourists. That's also been scrapped. So the vast majority of things in that mini budget have gone. They are not going to apply at all. The things that are staying are the stamp duty changes and the national insurance tax increase reversal. Okay, all a bit mad, all a bit complicated, isn't it? But let's bring us on to the last one. This is a really, really big one. And again, don't have a huge amount of information yet exactly what this will mean going forward. But this is around the energy price cap freeze. This was set, as I detailed in that video back in, this is early September now, so we're going back a month or so. The plan here was that bills would be frozen at that price cap of £2,500 for 2 years. Remember, it's an average price. This price cap is what a typical household would pay. If you use a lot more energy, it would be more. If you use less energy, it could be less. But that would be frozen for 2 years for normal households. For businesses, it was going to be a shorter period of 6 months. Now, this is going to end in April of 2023. It's going to last just for 6 months. What they've said is that there will then be introduced targeted measures. So rather than all households getting this support, which lots of people would see particularly as incredibly unfair, but also very, very expensive for the government, it's going to be replaced instead in April by targeted measures. I don't know what that means. It probably will mean that we will come back to a price cap that gets changed, well, potentially every 6 months or maybe every 3 months, which is what the move had gone to before this price cap happened. So at some point, I would imagine in early 2023, there will be a new price cap announced to start in April. And then maybe that would say likelihood that will be reviewed every 3 months. In terms of what support that will be given to people, again, maybe it will be similar to the money that came through earlier. Well, it's still coming through for some people. So there's that £400 for everyone. That might not come back at all, but the targeted support for people on various benefits. That kind of 650 quid over 2 payments if you were getting things like universal credit, additional money if you were getting some disability benefits, additional money if you were getting some pension credits. Maybe it'll be something like that, but we do not know. As soon as we have information on this, obviously I will update you here on the channel. But it's worth bearing in mind, this could well mean you might be thinking, oh, bills have gone up, energy bills have gone up, they're so expensive, but they've gone up, but at least that's it. They could go up higher again. And we were seeing those absolutely massive projections. So again, I would hope that if you are a vulnerable household, if you are struggling with your bills for whatever reason, your energy bills, support will be in place for you later on, but we do not know. And what does seem to be seen, just to round out this update for you, it does appear that, and it's kind of makes sense, if you're spending a lot of money for various support schemes, you've also got to raise that money either by increasing taxes elsewhere or by cutting spending, back to the days of austerity we had. So again, this is all been done to try and calm those markets, which were really spooked by what was going on. We didn't like what was going on. We saw all those things, the mortgage rates increase, all that stuff. This is an announcement brought forward to try and sort of steady that, try and sort of make things a bit more level. Well, it sounds like we could well have a new Prime Minister anytime now, and who knows what that might mean. Maybe we'll have another Chancellor again and things will get ripped up and start again. But this is where we are right now. My name's Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. If you are worried about your bills, make sure you check out these videos right here.